Embrace a youthful mindset and envision your future. Take the lead is in your walls.
Take the lead is in your walls.
This platform serves as a space for engagement designed to equip young people to become effective leaders. They are actively contributing, creatively engaged, and determined in various fields. And now, this is Take the Lead.
Hello to you, West Africa and the world at large. We are here again, welcoming you to Take the Lead, the 21st episode of your youth exciting program here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. My name is Augustine Cully, and today we will focus our discussion on young people exploring cultural diversity to foster dialogue and development. So please follow us live on WADR.org on our frequency 94.9 FM. We are also streaming live on Facebook, WADR English Service, and on YouTube at WADR News. So you can listen to us anywhere, anytime, live and direct. As a reminder, we will be reading your comments on our live broadcast feed. So please send in your reactions so that we can also mention them, so that we feel that you are a part of this program. In 2001, UNESCO adopted the Universal Declaration on Cultural Diversity. Following this, in December 2002, the UN General Assembly declared May 21 to be the World Day for Cultural Diversity for Dialogue and Development. And in 2015, the Second Committee of the UN General Assembly unanimously adopted a resolution on culture and sustainable development, affirming culture's contribution to the three dimensions of sustainable development. This resolution acknowledges the natural and cultural diversity of the world and recognizes the cultures and civilizations are crucial enablers of sustainable development. Now, in the context of Africa, specifically West Africa, the region's culture is characterized by rich oral traditions, diverse artistic expressions, and a strong sense of community, which have key elements, including folktales passed down through generations and vibrant music and dance traditions that often incorporate call and response patterns. Traditional architecture in the region varies according to the climate, with distinct styles found in inland areas and coastal regions. A significant factor contributing to this diversity is the unique communication practices across the West African sub-region. Language plays an integral role in any society, and West Africa is of no exception. The region is home to over 2,000 different languages, each reflecting the unique traditions, beliefs, and values of the community it represents. So today, together with our guests, we will explore ways in which young people can embrace this unique cultural diversity to foster dialogue and development in West Africa.
Take the Lead is back in 2025 with a brand new format. Yes, your youth exchange space will now be broadcast live every Friday at 4:05 p.m. Universal Time. And that's not all. Dear internet users and WADR subscribers, you have the opportunity to experience the show live and direct on our online platforms on Facebook at WADR English Service and on YouTube at WADR. Take the Lead every Friday from 4:05 p.m. Universal Time and rebroadcast same day at 1 a.m. Universal Time. Also on every Tuesday, your youth program will be rebroadcast at 7:15 a.m. and 4:05 p.m. GMT. Take the lead and champion the discourse for the betterment of young people.
We will never allow you to forget the young people. That is because you are the backbone. So always take the lead and champion their cause. So, joining us for today's discussion are three interesting and brilliant young people. Habi Sondo is one of them, and Habi Sondo is an American citizen. She's also a Fulbright English teaching assistant here in Senegal. We will leave it right there. Next is Ambrose Mendy. Ambrose is a young Senegalese and also an English teacher or a translator. We also have Muku Suleiman Bangura. Bangura is a public and private sector administrator. He's also a Fulbright fellow there in Sierra Leone. And not forgetting you, our online followers, whose comments we will also be reading on the show today. So let's, hear from our guests today, beginning with Habi. Habi, how are you doing? And welcome to the Youth Platform.
I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yes, you are in our studio today, not just in the studio, but you are saying something. Mm-hmm. Tell us, how does it feel like?
It feels amazing. I'm really honored to be invited into this space and sharing the floor amongst our other amazing guests. And I'm excited to just contribute to this amazing conversation.
Okay, great. Is it your first time in our studio?
No, this is the second time in the studio, and the staff is very warm and friendly.
I'm sorry.
So, yes.
You can please make use of the headphone.
Okay, thank you.
And so we will also hear from Mendy. Mendy is here, also a Senegalese English teacher or a translator. Mendy, how are you doing, and welcome to the platform?
Thank you so much. I'm good, and I hope you are also doing good.
Yes,
it's
I'm
a great
fine.
pleasure to meet you again, because it's just my second time coming in the studio.
Okay.
It's very interesting always to share my ideas and learn from Teacher Habi. I used to call her Teacher Habi because she was teaching us in the US Embassy.
Yeah.
Training, and she was our teacher, but a very humble person. I'm very happy to be here.
Okay.
And thank you to our listeners.
And sitting on the same platform with her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. All right. We now hear from Muku Suleiman Bangura from Sierra Leone. How are you doing, Suleiman? Welcome to the platform.
Thank you so much. I am doing well. I'm blessed, black, and highly favored. I'm fine. I'm great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm in the midst of amazing people and brilliant minds.
How is Sierra Leone?
It's cool. We are slowly easing into the raining season, so it's pretty much peaceful. We're calm. We're taking it one day at a time, so we're grateful.
Wonderful, wonderful. Now, let's get the ball rolling and not to waste the time of our guests and you, the listening audience. We begin by hearing from them their personal understanding about culture, what they understand culture to be in their personal context. And Habi, we again come to you. Please share with us your understanding about culture.
Okay, that is a very interesting question. I would say that culture to me means the histories, the traditions, understanding what makes a group of people or people who they are today, the ancestors that came before them, the music that they listen to, the language they speak, the things that they value in society, the lens that they navigate the world through. I would say that is my understanding of culture.
Great,
Yes.
great. And why do you think those things are tied to them?
I think those things are tied to people just throughout history, where they've settled in the world, the impacts that colonization has probably had on where they are, the way they navigated or have traded or communicated with external people. And yeah, I would say that answers the question at the moment, hopefully.
Great. When you think about your personal culture, how would you regard yourself?
Oh, wow. That is a great question. So I am Burkinabe American. I was born and raised in the States, but my family is from Burkina Faso. So I would say I have two different parts and cultures that I refer to on a day-to-day basis. When I would think about my Burkinabe side, Burkina Faso means like that land of like honorable people. I would say something that I try to live by on a day-to-day basis, trying to have integrity and just being honest in my day-to-day affairs. And then I guess my American side, I would say, when I think of that, I try to think of basically a melting pot, right? Growing up in a city where there are people from all different cultures, all different communities, I think that is a part of my American side that I really value. And like having grown up learning from people from all over the world, their different customs, traditions, languages. So I would say those are the two aspects of my culture that are important to me, or the way that I think of
Interesting triggers to ask you more. But let's hear from Mandy. Mandy, what's about you? From your end in terms of your origin and how you view culture.
First of all, I'm gonna say that I was born here in Senegal. It's like my parents, but we are basically not from Senegal. We're from Guinea-Bissau. And because Mandy is Manjak, and Manjak in Wolof is Ndiago, so we are basically from Guinea-Bissau. It's a very long story. I don't have time to elaborate.
I know, right?
But we have spent over 50 years in Senegal, so I don't know any other country than Senegal. But I'm very proud of my culture. For me, culture is very interesting because it's very important. It's crucial because it's your identity. You see, when you don't know about your culture, you don't know where you're from. You don't know where your ancestors are from. And this can value you see. It can help you to be focused on what you're doing, to know who are you going to follow, and also get some references. But if you don't have any culture, you don't have any reference. And you see, now we are in the global village, and sometimes you can see some based on the social media's platform, you see sometimes you can see some people doing things that are not unethical things. And if you don't know your culture, you don't know how to avoid those kind of things. But if you know your culture, you know it's against your culture, you're not gonna follow them.
Okay.
I think it's help you to know who you are and where you're going to, something like that. It's very important to know your culture.
You spoke about Guinea-Bissau. Have you been there?
No, as I told you, I don't know any other country than Senegal. I've never ever been in Guinea-Bissau because even my parents was born here in Senegal, but my grandparents were born in Guinea-Bissau. So people used to call me when they ask me, "What's your name?" I tell them, "My name is Ambrose Mendy." Say, "So you're from Guinea-Bissau?" I say, "Yes, but I'm Senegalese." He said, "No, your name is a Bissau Guinean song." I say, "I don't know that place. I never have been there. Senegal is the only place I know." So I will consider myself like a hybrid Senegalese, and I also was raised by white Western people. So this have impact a lot my educational path, and it helped me to build the personality I have today.
Great. Hearing now from you, Muku, tell us a bit about your own cultural background and how do you view your culture?
Yes, great question. Thank you so much. So I was born and raised here in Sierra Leone. I was born in the northern province of Sierra Leone. It's called Lungi, in the Kafabulum chiefdom. And so I spent most of my early life, early childhood life there. Went to school there. And I think my culture helped shape who I am today. Culture is of course, it's very important because it's basically, it identifies who you are. It helps to shape your ethos, your values, the things that you hold in high esteem. So, for instance, my dad was a police officer, and so he was a very humble man. And one of the values I learned from him growing up in the household was to be very humble and respectful. And as part of his culture as well, I saw how he was able to fuse, his job as a police officer and also his culture, and how he used that to instill solid cultural values like humility, honesty, respect for elders, helping people, giving back to society, service, which is very important, which was something that he never he always tried to teach us to do, to serve humanity. He always tells us, he told us when I was very, very young, and he says, if you really want to be a strong leader, you have to learn to serve. And I grew up with that. And so my view of culture, it helps to really identify, like I said, who you are, but at the same time, it helps you to identify where you belong and where you come from. appreciate, what you share, what you have. For instance, there's a particular sound I can play here, a music can play right here where I'm sitting. I can nod my head to it or shake my head to it because it's relatable, in my culture, and like people can understand it. But there's a particular sound I can play here from another culture that would never make sense to me, and I would struggle to identify with it. So culture helps you identify with a certain group of people, where you are, and helps you appreciate where you're from.
Great. Having heard from each of you, now let's shift the discussion to the diversification of the various cultures that we have in West Africa. Habi, in the context of Africa, and specifically West Africa, a region which one of your countries comes from, and then you tell us, how can you examine the diverse cultures of the African people, specifically West Africa?
That is also another amazing question. I would say that Africa is a very diverse place in general, and then West Africa as well is very diverse. There are a lot of different languages, customs, traditions, ethnic group in almost every single country. So even here in Senegal, when you're looking, you'll go to the south of Senegal, and the way that people dress, the way that people speak French, the way that people speak Wolof is even completely different from the way that people here in Dakar speak Wolof. So little things like that help you see that even within a specific country in West Africa, it's so diverse. There's so many different ethnic groups, so many different religions. And I would say that it's like that in Senegal as well as other places in West Africa and Africa in general as well.
Okay, great. You want to share something about that? How diverse the West African cultures are?
I would say almost the same thing. And having say Africa is one of the richest country because you got a lot of cultures here in Africa, a lot of diverse culture, a lot of customs and all those things. You have also resources, and I think it's very interesting. So when Western people or white people, when they come in Africa, the first thing because they are looking for, they want to know, they want to discover is African culture because they don't have it. You see, sometimes when you get something, you don't need to do some research on it because you already have it. You already know, you got an idea about it. But it's more interesting for you to discover what the other have. Like Habi is coming from, she's American, but she's coming from Burkina Faso. I have never been there, but I know they got different culture. And sometimes our culture can merge. We can have some mutual things together because we are all African. And I used to hear the white people, the white man who raised us, calling all the black people African. See, whenever you are, no matter where you're coming from, even though you're coming from Senegal or Mauritania, for them you're African because you're coming from Africa. But it's not the case. So I think it's very interesting, and we got a very the African continent is very, very, very wealthy. We got a lot of resources. We got a lot of culture, and very interesting. So this is what I got to say.
Great. Now, with regards to whether or not cultural diversity matters, you could also weigh in on that, Suleiman, as you add on to explaining in ways that West Africa cultures are so very diverse. I'm keen on this because it's really important to recognize the diversification of our respective cultures. And if it is important, why is it important? And it's to you, Suleiman.
Yes, thank you, Augustine. I think all the speakers have said, we're similar but diverse, right? Like for instance, I know there's a very secret jollof war going about within African countries, Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, who makes the best jollof. It's jollof, it's rice, it's the same. However, it tastes differently because different cultures, they make it differently. And however, the taste is good, the outcome is very good, just that we make it differently. So we give it the same name, but we use different ingredients to make it. That's how similar we are, but diverse. And it's very important, like you said, to accept diversity because we are not a monolith. In as much as we are Africans, We are not a monolith. It's not like everybody is the same and we must love the same thing and we must like the same thing. It is critical for economic development to realize and recognize differences, and so that when we are catering to each and to everyone's needs, we recognize the difference, and whatever we're producing, whatever service we are offering, whatever it is we're selling, we understand those diversity, accept those diversity, and tailor-made whatever we are offering in accordance with that cultural diversity. So it's quite critical for economic development, because it's like when you travel to Europe, yes, it's called Europe, but life in Germany is different from life in Belgium. Life in Belgium is different from people in different from the people in Finland. And so they are not a monolith. Each and every one of them are different. So you have to understand those differences, live with them. It's like ethnography. You have to understand exactly what are the nuances, recognize those nuances, and tailor whatever you're offering in accordance. And that's how you spread, respect the culture, but also you make money, and most importantly, you what they have. And once they see that, you will be accepted wherever you find yourself.
Okay, thank you very much. In terms of intercultural exchange and experience, that is specifically for you, Habi. Tell us, how have you observed the American culture and that of the African culture, especially now you are in West Africa? What's the similarities, if there are? What would you term as the differences? And how unique you think the both are?
Another very interesting question, right? I can only speak specifically to my experience in the U.S., in New York, because I was born and raised there. So I think each part of the U.S. is like very diverse, right? So like speaking of maybe like New York and Dakar, I would say they're both very fast-paced cities. Like they move very, very quickly. People want to get everything done at a certain time. Everyone is just moving, right? But I would say a difference between, let's say, life here in Dakar versus maybe life in New York. I think in New York, things are very fast-paced, and sometimes we don't always take the time to slow down and really appreciate the little things like community, living amongst like grandparents, having a attire for like breakfast, lunch, and dinner, sitting and eating in a bowl together, right?
Yeah.
And I would say here in Dakar, even though things are very fast-paced, there's that is always in mind, right? And I feel like I really witnessed that during Ramadan. While I would be in cars, people would like pause and give like the Yango drivers like tea and ataya. People always invite you over to their house and eat. So I would say that slowing down pace is a big difference that I've noticed between life in Dakar and life in New York. And then in terms of ways that I've like witnessed cultural diversity, I feel like I see it in almost everywhere and every way that I work. So even while we were doing the career development session at the embassy, I noticed that the way that I thought about career development and resumes and cover letters were completely different than the way that people at the embassy who were like Senegalese thought about things. So I always had to make sure that even when I wanted to give advice, I needed to be cognizant of the different cultural nuances that exist. So for example, one of them is maybe like, let's say that you're in the US and you're doing an interview, you really want to like shake someone's hand really firmly and look them directly in the eye. But then here in Senegal, at least from what I was hearing, is that especially when someone is older than you, it's not always the best to look them directly in the eye, from what I was hearing. So keeping those things in mind, I think are really helpful, and they show you how nuanced things are all over the world.
Great. With you, Mandy, you said Senegal is all you have so far. And looking at Senegal being a central point in West Africa, a transit point, I would say, there are different nationals coming here. Liberians, Congolese, Ivorians. Now tell us how, in terms of your interaction with them, the different cultures that you see them bring into Senegal and try to practice, what difference and what are the similarities you've experienced in terms of the uniqueness that we all have? with our different cultures?
Okay, thank you so much for the question. First of all, I would say that Senegal, like people used to say, is dëkk teranga. We call it in Wolof teranga. It means the country of hospitality. We are welcoming people. We like sharing our food with people. Senegalese, they are basically like that, peaceful. I think that's the reason why many different nationalities are coming here in Senegal. So based on my experience, as I told you, I was raised by white Western people. So when I came back in my house, you see, because white people, they don't eat on the floor, they eat on the table. And you got your dish, you use your fork and all those cutleries. So when I came in the house, I got to share the meal with all the family, use my hands. And the food was very spicy. They don't take account those who don't like spice, salt or pepper. They put it in the meal and don't care about that. You gotta eat and finish. I think this is that was the first difference I saw. And also, my cousin was married to a Nigerian, and so I can say our ex-in-laws family were Nigerian, and it also helped me to discover Nigerian culture, because her ex-in-laws used to come in our house and cook. I was cooking jollof rice, egusi soup, all those things, and the way they were doing it was very, 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 very different. They only have nyam. You using nyam. You see, in Senegal, we don't like, we don't know nyam. You see, we eat it but differently. Yeah. But even the okra soup, the way they are cooking it, because we got a dish called soup kanja. It's with okra, but it's quite different from the okra soup, because they put all those meat inside. You see, but most of Senegalese, they cook okra with seafood. So this is the difference, but the toast is almost the same. So you can say the same, because I have also been in Wakam. You have a lot of different people who are living there, Burkinabés, you see, Ivorian, because our neighbors were Ivorian. But even the way they are talking, you see, sometimes they speak loud, they shout, say, please speak loud. Instead, no, in our country, we are always speaking like this. We can speak loud, you see. When they are eating, they use their hand like this. I say, oh, come on. We don't know that here in Senegal. You see, so sometimes you can see some difference between the culture.
That's great.
From one country to another. But I think we are all the same.
Great. We are all the same, and I love
African,
that. I love that. Well, we have so far listened to interesting interactions with our guests on this 21st edition of Take the Lead in the year 2025 here on West Africa Democracy Radio. Let's now take some time and listen to this beautiful piece about cultural diversity in West Africa, put together by my colleague Sankule Janko.
West Africa is known for its remarkable cultural diversity, home to hundreds, if not thousands of ethnic groups and tribes. Each group has its own language, dialects, customs, beliefs, practices, and way of life, which are expressed through food, clothing, art, literature, and more. When taking a closer look at some of these specific cultures, Nigeria stands out with its rich history, which includes ancient kingdoms like Benin and Oyo. Nigerian music, film, literature, and cuisine have gained international recognition, showcasing the country's vibrant cultural and creative contributions. For instance, the coronation of the new king of the Benin people in southern Nigeria is a significant event that attracts thousands of spectators.
Today is very, very important for Benin, all the old Benin citizens. And today we want to crown our Oba. Today is the coronation.
This ceremony is rooted in a royal tradition that has persisted since around the 13th century, enduring even through the British invasion centuries later. It's truly remarkable to see Edo women singing and dancing to honor the new Oba of the Benin Kingdom. With such amazing cultural practices in Nigeria, what can we say about neighboring countries like Ghana? a country's history marked by ancient empires such as the Asante and the Akwamu, as well as the legacies of European colonization and the transatlantic slave trade.
I remember very vividly when I was a little boy, going to the chief's house where the hot yam is boiled right from the pot straight to some plate. Everybody would have to take a piece of the yam, red hot.
We celebrate Yam Festival first and foremost to bring families together.
Ghanaian music, dance and festivals such as the Ashanti Yam Festival celebrate the country's cultural resilience and heritage. You might be thinking we are closing up here, but don't worry, we still have another magnetic culture in the land of Teranga, which is Senegal. Senegal's history has been shaped by the Wall of Empire, also known as the Jollof Empire or Great Jollof. This powerful West African state thrived in what is now Senegal from the mid-14th to the mid-16th century, strategically located between the Senegal and Gambia rivers. Senegalese music, especially mbalax and traditional sabar drumming, embodies the country's cultural pride and resilience. And now, here comes Youssou Ndour, the king of mbalax in Senegal. Always remember that West Africa is a region rich in cultural diversity and historical significance. To you, the young people, it is essential to understand the cultural and historical dynamics of each country in the region. This understanding is crucial for appreciating the complexities of West African identity and its significance on the global stage.
Oh yeah, thanks to WADR Sankule Janko for that beautiful mix of sounds.
Hey people, my name is Mello, Afrobeat singer from Guinea and Conakry. I love listening to the program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
Hello, my name is Fatou Bintou Souké. I'm the CEO of African Start Shop and I love listening to your program Take the Lead on West Africa Democracy Radio.
So welcome back to Take the Lead, your premier youth platform that sets the agenda for topical discussions all about young people within West Africa and beyond. We are streaming live on YouTube at WADR News, on Facebook, WADR English service, worldwide at WADR.org. Let's quickly recognize our partner stations in the West African sub-region that often rebroadcast this program. Beginning with Nigeria, we have Darling FM there in Abuja. We have Nenzit FM in Kaduna State, Love FM in Abuja. Now to Liberia, we have Alternative Youth Radio in Lofa County. We have DCN Radio in Riverses County. We have Kwatika Radio in Banga, Bone County. Of course, we have Radio Bombing in Bombing County, the western region of Liberia. Crossing over to Sierra Leone, we have the African Young Voices there in Freetown. We have Bath FM in Mal. We have Hands of Hope in Freetown, as well as the Eastern Radio in Kono District. Let's take you to Ghana right now, where Radio Pad in the Savannah region is active and often rebroadcast this program. Royals FM, also there in Ghana. Not leaving out, Numi FM, this time is in the Gambia, crossing over to the Gambia. Numi FM is in the Gambia. Radio Veritas, also in the Gambia. And yes, so far, so good. Those are our partner radio stations that often relay this broadcast or rebroadcast this program. So it's a pleasure to have you back on the show. This time, for the next minutes we will focus on what we consider as the obstacles to accepting our various cultures in the region. And we begin with Muku to, commence this segment of the show. Tell us from your end, Sulema, how do you think accepting others, despite their cultural differences, can be a source of personal or collective enrichment, considering the obstacles that comes with having diverse cultures?
Could you please repeat the question again? I think I missed a couple of...
Yes, so I'm concerned about how do you think accepting one's culture, despite the cultural differences that the both of you have, can be a source of personal or collective enrichment?
Oh, yeah. So, thank you so much. I think it's critical to understand that we are all different. In as much as we're similar, we're all different. Understanding that our cultures can be different is a sign of respect in itself. It's a demonstration that you're willing to listen to me, you're willing to be tolerant, you're willing to realize that, we might be the same color, we might be around the same region, but we're also different. So I think it's important that we recognize that, because once it's the first step into any further discussion, any further conversation. If it's a no-brainer, or it's even a non-starter if I recognize that you do not realize respect and then understand that we are different, even though we are in the same region. So whatever conversation comes after that, we already set the foundation that we are different, and we accept it. So like I mentioned earlier, we are not a monolith, and once you realize that, and then you approach it with respect, it helps the conversation. I think some of the threats I heard you talk about the threats. I think some of the threats that are basically looming in is pop culture, the proliferation of pop culture. I think the way we consume pop culture and the way we consume other culture coming in is basically blurring the lines between what's being accepted outside and what's our culture and what we are ingrained in. So for example, right, we know we are from a society where if you do wrong, if you're a kid, you did something and your parents will whoop you, right? That's normal. We grew up like that. But apparently there is some culture that says no, you cannot hit the child, and if not, the child can report you, to the police station and then be taken by child services or something. But that's kind of like a blur. It's a line that can actually blur that, but you cannot do it too much. But at the same time, you cannot tell me not to discipline my child. So it becomes confusing. Then we start talking past each other, and we start losing, our culture, the thing that helps us build us to where we are today.
Thank you. Crossing over to Habi, I'm concerned about the main obstacles she has experienced or observed when it comes to the acceptance of cultural diversity in our societies today.
I would say I can think of two things. One would be, I would say, maybe people's egos, as well as maybe the reluctance to go and do additional research, right? So when I say egos, I think thinking of kind of like exchange programs, right? Like taking people from other countries to come and like live in other countries and communicate and do work with other people, right? I think a lot of people aren't able to say like, hey, I actually don't understand this, hey, I actually don't know what's going on, or hey, I was not born and raised here, so I cannot fully speak to what is going on in this country, right? So I think that has a big role to play in people's understanding or like lack of understanding of cultural diversity. If you're not able to humble yourself and admit that you don't know everything that's going on in another country because you haven't experienced it to its fullest capacity, then you can't be someone who fully accepts cultural diversity, I would say. And then I would say a second thing would be the reluctance to do additional research. I think a lot of times on social media, people are seeing one thing and then not going and following up and doing additional research, right? So I think, of course, it's nice to get like a lot of information very easily at you, but taking the time to go and like speak with local people, look at news outlets from different organizations, and really consider different perspectives is something that will always enrich you and help you fully learn to understand, to embrace the diversity of the world today.
Great, great. As we wrap up, hearing from you, Mandy, what can we do in our own ways, each of us, to ensure that cultural diversity will contribute to a society more open to diverse cultures instead of being divided?
I think, first of all, we gotta be. We should prioritize the communication. You see, when you meet a person coming from a different country, you're not trying to communicate with them. You don't know what they got to say, and they always got something to say. So it also will help you to get rid of the social stereotypes. People are saying like these people they do this, these people they do that, without even having lived with them. You see, people used to say that. I'm gonna take the case of my country. Most of Senegalese people used to say these people like this, these people like that, without even trying to go to them. But I think the first thing to do is to communicate with those people. Try to forget all the difference, because as I said, we are not so different. We are all the same, because in the eyes of Western people, we are all African. So why should we be divided? So, and also communicating will help us to prevent conflict, you see. So when you're communicating with a person, it can help you to learn from him. It can help you to be appreciated. It can help you also to show your culture, you see. Yeah, but when you're not communicating with anyone, you cannot show your culture, you cannot learn from people. And the second thing is there is always something to learn, you see, based on the tradition or the educational system, you see. For example, the way that Nigerian people raise children may be different from the ways that we raise our children. I take the case of my cousin who was married to an Igbo man. So Igbo is one of the ethnical groups in Nigeria. And that also helped me to know that there are some similarities between Igbo's people and Manjak, the way we dress, the traditional clothes. And also there is a word, for example, for saying see you tomorrow in Igbo. Mm-hmm. We say kachifo. Okay. And in my language we say kachifan. So it's almost the same. And I was asking, say, maybe you got a common ancestor, something like that. So talking with people who are different from us can help us to learn a lot from them.
Okay, great. Now let's get your final words, Suleiman. And as you just state them, you can just add on by stating what accepting others means to you.
Thank you. So accepting others means respect. It means that I think I've used the word respect several times, because I think that's what basically associates with accepting who I am. Okay. It shows that we can have conversations. It shows that we can have misunderstandings. It shows that we can basically agree to disagree. It shows that you can say, okay, yes, we don't have two things can be right at the same time. You can have your own opinion. I can have my own opinion, but I still respect you. So I think ultimately it's about respect. And then once we start off with that, and then you're willing to accept, okay, I don't know everything, just like the other speaker said, and you start wanting to learn more. And your next question should be, how can I learn more? Where can I go for more? And why are we different? So just a quick example before I close. I remember my first time traveling for the Mandela Washington Fellowship in the US when I was at University of Notre Dame. So I was with colleagues from Southern Africa, and I realized that they don't like spicy foods. And that was a culture shock for me, because I'm like, you're from Africa, why don't you like spicy food? And they were kind of like angry at me for asking that question. They were like, well, we are not a monolith. It took me a while, but I realized that, yes, I shouldn't ask the question in that manner. I should rather try to really show some respect, and at the same time, inquire to learn more how that came about. Yeah. And so that, like the other speaker said, those exchange programs helped, understand deeper cultural meaning, respect for other people, and at the same time, accept people for who they are, and not judge them at all. So it's quite critical for Africa and Africans as well, so that we can actually push economic development just by understanding that we're all different.
Thank you, Muku Suleiman Bangura. We hope to have you on the show another day, and that would be so amazing.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you for having me, Augustine. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Habi, what are your final words to young people in West Africa specifically as you take leave of us today?
Wow. My final words would be to be bold, be brave, and don't be afraid to go out and explore the unknown. I would say in terms of intercultural diplomacy, I think it's not accessible to everyone, right? A lot of people want to go abroad, want to do exchange programs, want to learn another language, but there are fees that you have to pay. It's not always easy to find scholarships, though they're out there. I would say if those opportunities aren't easily available to you, start within your own community and don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone, right? So even within Senegal itself, there are the Fula, there are the Wolof, there are the Sered, right? So many different ethnic groups within your own community. So if you can't find an opportunity to go abroad, or it's not financially accessible to you, start within your own community. Look at what problems exist, speak to local people, and really take their ideas and their opinions into consideration, and kind of use that to start your own thing and explore into the communities within your reach, because I think that can make just as much impact as going abroad to do an exchange or intercultural program somewhere else.
Thank you, Habi. We hope to have you another time on the show.
I hope so too. Thank you so much.
All right. And finally to you, Mendy, what are your recommendations?
I think in Senegal we have succeeded something that you might not see in many African countries. That we all got, in Senegal we have a national language, it's Wolof. If I go out, I will speak Wolof to another person. I think this is very important. But I'm not Wolof, I'm Manjak. So when I go to my house, I will speak my mother language. I think also the fact of accepting to merge with another culture that's different from mine, just to be able to communicate with people who are in the same country than I, is very important. And I would also recommend all African countries to try to do that, to create a national language so that they can all communicate. With communications, they can avoid war, civil wars, and all those conflicts. Because in Senegal, this is one of the reasons why we are living in peace, and the people can testify that. Because we all understand what our neighbor is saying. Right. So this is very important. So culture is very important also. Going back to your roots also can help you to know who you are and where you're coming from. Okay. It will help you not to be lost, okay, and also to prepare your future, to know where you are going and how you are going to proceed.
Wow.
Thank you so much for the invitation, and thank you to all our listeners.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, listeners and viewers, this is where we conclude the 21st episode of Take the Lead here on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. It's been an amazing time to have you with us. Please join us next Friday for another live episode of the program. Remember to take the lead in shaping the discourse for the betterment of young people in Africa. My name is Augustine Bilkali. Bye for now.
Take the Lead is back in 2025 with a brand new format.